Do you like playing in the rain, Paul Flynn?
Well, contrary to what people might have thought, yes, Marty. Like today's the surface, there'll be a little bit of dew on it, bit of water, and the ball will skid off and it won't bounce as high. So some backs might come charging out and anticipate a high bounce, and if you were lucky enough they might miss one and get in behind them. So conditions may have a bear on it.
Skillful players wouldn't mind the wet conditions.
Well, that's what I'm saying, David.
Who do you think this is going to affect the most, lads? Do you think it's going to affect Tipperary most?
I don't think it's going to affect both teams as equally, Marty. I suppose the only thing is it's going to we're not going to have the same free-flowing game as last year, possibly. Both teams haven't been accustomed to training or playing in these kind of conditions. So, but again, it's the same for both teams. That's the most important thing. It just might take away from the game a small bit.
Do you think Tipperary are going to come up with some sort of an ingenious plan that's to deprive Kilkenny possession?
I don't think so, Marty. I think basically, Tipperary have enough good players, to go their own way about things. I think if Tipperary can score from out the field, maybe midfield and half forward, and like they did against Waterford, and get a few points from out the field, I think that's one way maybe of getting near Kilkenny. I don't think they'll go third midfielder or 4.5 backline, whatever. I just think they need to move the ball quickly, really.
And what do you see as the crucial battle, Declan? Because certainly from my point of view, I'm looking forward to the battle between the full back and the full forwards, respectively.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at Tipperary's full forward line and well, Kilkenny's, you just don't know. I suppose the same with Tipperary's. I think movement is the key for both teams. I think Tipperary demonstrated last day brilliant movement all over the forward line. Even Lara Corbett dropping back into the backs of time. We all know Kilkenny's movement and running in straight lines. It just depends on who gets onto the end of the breaks, and a break of a ball, a lucky break, as I say, is going to take this game today, I think.
In a word, Tipperary or the 5 in a row for Kilkenny?
Well, I've been Tip all year, so I'll stick with Tip.
Good man, Declan. You?
Oh, to keep my mother happy at home, I'll go with Kilkenny.
All right, well, it's 50p here down the sideline. We look forward to a great All-Ireland final.
Thank you very much for the moment, and this is Kilkenny arriving at the moment down under the Hogan stand here and getting ready for their big day. And Brian Cody, well, will this be the day of history for Brian Cody, for his selectors, and of course for his players? So that's Kilkenny, looking forward to the senior final a little bit later on. Both teams back at fine form this summer and has picked off some very important scores in matches. But it's amazing to think that Lara is very much one of the veterans of this Tipperary panel, having been there for their previous All-Ireland success almost a decade ago.
Well, I suppose I never really thought about playing county under 21 or county senior for Tipperary. Like, my love, just say, was playing the game, playing hurling. Now, whatever level that took me to, I was happy at that. I was delighted to be playing for Dorley Soag, and I was delighted to be playing representing Thurles Sarsfields.
And Lara Corbett with this latest effort, and he's put it over.
It's like anything at all, you get lucky break in life, and I was lucky enough in 2001 to get a phone call from Nicky English, and that's really where it all started, and it's kind of a roller coaster since then, but really building, I suppose it's on confidence where a lot of it is built. I think an awful lot of people are expecting this big final that happened last year. Things mightn't go like that. You have to accept whatever is in front of us on the day, but there's one thing we know, we are going to be 100% ready for it. You have to admire the way they went about things, that they got the opportunities, they took them on the day. We got a few opportunities, we didn't take them. So we're back now again, looking forward to having another crack at it again. I'm going to go with this very same belief as I did last year, that we can win. I found it very hard to deal with that defeat. I suppose maybe myself and maybe the panel included, we maybe did get a small bit complacent. The Cork did come out and catch us on the day. Our training is top class, our fitness is top class, the setup is top class, everything is top class. So when you tick all those boxes and everything is done right, you have to say to yourself, you have to give credit to the team that you're playing. So that day Cork came out and the bet is off the field. We had no excuses, they were by far the better team on the day, but the structures we had in place were perfect for us on the day. So you have to give credit where credit is due. I don't think that hurling is worked much on tactics, and only from an outsider looking in, I don't think Kilkenny do much on tactics either. I think that's all about intensity and how you apply yourself on the day. And I think that if everyone works hard, you do get your chances. And when you do lose matches, people are going to blame tactics, and when you win, people are going to say, oh, you got it right on the day. But first of all, I think that your work rate has to be up and how you apply yourself on the day, and that's really half the battle. Don't fear them, I don't fear anyone, but I admire class, and their class set up. In any sport, I think you have to admire class. And I think that's what they have, not only this year and last year, but they have it for the last number of years. But like, we're not going to fear any. We're going up there, like, you know, there's going to be no pressure on Tipperary, and we're going up there to perform on the day. And we're going to give it 100%, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's Tipperary forward Lara Corbett, and Lara Tomas will have, like all the Tipperary forwards, a very important role to play today, of course, and be relying on lads like that who have the experience back through the years.
Yeah, I suppose he's the equivalent of the Shefflins of Kilkenny, I think, certainly, because he is their role model up front. He is their leader. He can play in most positions. You'll see him at full forward, you'll see him at corner forward. He'll get the odd stint as centre forward as well, and he has great vision. He's great hurling brain to bring other players into the game as well, but the little flicks and the little hand passes, but he's a great scoring forward as well. And when the need has been the greatest for Tipperary, Lara stood up and be counted, certainly, and he's a great man to get a goal for you as well. And I mean, you can see by his attitude there, I mean, the positiveness in it is if that's there within the dressing room and they can transform that into the field, you know, it's a great start for Tipperary. They need to forget about last year, forget about the referee and the decision in the end. They had that game in their grasp. They had the Liam McCarthy in their grasp 7 or 8 minutes from time, and they left it slip, barring any decision. So they need to just build on that, build on the positive, and come out exactly the same frame of mind that they were in last year.
Yeah, Lars was there. The one big thing as well is his electrifying pace. He catches the hurl left in the top, he goes to strike, he's going fast, and you're hooking him. But then he goes on another 2 or 3 yards, and you're caught.
As he
you
did.
can't hook. And as Tomas is there, great to get goals, and he always does the right thing on the ball. Like the last day against Galway, the one man from a goal point of view that I didn't want to see to get the ball was Lar.
Yeah.
And curious enough, he came around. Not great on his left side, he's still at Joe, but he came around and eventually walked back on his right, and he's going to score these scores. And you'd imagine he's around a long time, and he is, but like you'd think he's older than he actually is.
Yeah.
And he's so laid back, and he talks there about tactics. Like Liam Sheedy to me this year with Tipperary is kind of let them play hurling, freedom of hurling. Now they're going to be moving around anyway, and today, like as you said, Brian Cody kind of lets them play hurling as well, maybe kind of more structured in a sense. But like he is the leader of the pack at the moment, because the last day, even though Kelly got 2 goals, to me, as we've been talking before, he wasn't really fit the last day, not to his own standards, and it was Lara like that, you know, did the right things. And if he has a good game today, Tip of a great chance, and if he's taken out of the game, it's going to be a big loss to Tip.
Sure.
That's the vital thing there, because if you think last year when Seamus Cannon was going so well, Jackie Terrell paid him a visit earlier on. Now you would also be afraid today that somebody will pay Lara a visit very early on today.
Yeah. And what do you mean by visit, Peter? Explain that to us.
It's just a courtesy call. If he's put out of the game or injured earlier on, he would be a massive lot, because the free role that he's playing, you know, he's not playing. He's playing just a totally free role, and he plays with such intelligence. And it's the way he's matured on and off the field over the last 3 years has been really spectacular. And he's just absolutely crucial for Tip today.
Watch your wingers, I think, is what Ger is saying there. Let's head off again to rejoin Joanne Cantwell. She is down pitch side with some more people to talk to.
And we're trying to battle the noise of Marty Morrissey here, myself, John Allen and John McIntyre. And you know, this drive for 5-0 started back in 2006 when John Allen's Corporate denied their own famous 3 in a row by the Cats in the final. And John, could you tell back then in 06 that this Kilkenny side might have the ability to sustain such a top-level performance each year?
Not at all. I mean, you know, we went into the final of 2006 and the knowledge that JJ Delaney was injured, John Tennyson looked like he wouldn't be playing but was playing. I thought the signs were right that we would win that final, you know, but I mean, Kilkenny, you know, just played in an intensity that day that they haven't let down since, you know, but certainly, I mean, you couldn't tell that they were going to be, you know, unequalled, unrivaled in the past 4 years, you know, but history will decide today whether they'll put another one onto it, but certainly back then there was no way of telling that they would be as awesome as they have become, you know.
How does today's team compare with the team that lined out against you? Are they better?
I would say they're better, yeah. I think the strength of their bench really, like, is everything, and when you see, I think it's 4 All-Stars they have on the bench, and Michael Rice not starting, and you know, their players obviously have become household names, and it's, you know, this team, awesome doesn't describe it, but we'll see today whether they'll take the next step.
Well, John McIntyre, what about Tipperary, because your Galway side obviously played them after them having a dodgy start? Did they turn the corner against you, do you think?
Very much so, Joanne, because there was this big question mark about Tipperary in tight matches. They'd come up short in a number of them over the past couple of years, so psychologically that was a huge breakthrough to score the last 3 points in a thrilling game that looked to have slipped away from them. Certainly put them on the front foot going into the All-Ireland semi-final against Waterford. And I thought in that game, in the All-Ireland semi-final, there was a greater confidence and vibrancy about Tipperary, as though they've come through their crisis and they're a better team for it.
And just very quickly, because your team played Kilkenny obviously as well, who genuinely is the better side, having seen them as an opposing manager?
Well, we didn't play as well against Kilkenny as we did against Galway, against Tipperary. There are different reasons for that. But the big question is today, Brian Cody doesn't do sentiment. He's not a gambler like some other inter-county team hurling managers. And he seems to have taken a really big risk today with John Tennyson and Henry Shefflin. If the gamble comes off, you'd have to say that Kilkenny are going to win. If Henry or John don't last the full 70 minutes, it gives Tipperary an opening. But what I'm worried about is that Kilkenny seem to have a cause as a result of not being given the credit that they felt they were entitled to 12 months ago, and they're bad enough without a cause.
Okay, thanks very much, lads. And as we know, Brian Cody, when he does take risks, they do tend to come off.
Once again, Richie Power advancing. Is the third goal coming? It is. Debut then, Richie Power gets his first ever goal in the championship.
I joined the panel in 2005. We were beaten in an All-Ireland semi-final in 2005, and since then I've been lucky enough not to taste championship defeat. Coming into such a successful team has been an incredible experience. At the beginning, you're coming into a team that had the likes of DJ Carey there. I was lucky enough to play with DJ.
DJ steadying himself, turning it in beautifully and putting it over the bar.
It's been an incredible journey, but every day, every night you go out on the training pitch, everyone is there to fight for their place on the panel, let alone on the team. So it's great, but you're always looking over your shoulder.
So almost set for the 115th Leinster GAA hurling final, the first ever between Kilkenny and Galway.
We knew going in that this Galway team were a very good side. They bet us in the league down in Nolan Park without their poor Tumblr players that day, and we knew with those guys coming back in that they were going to be a formidable force. But we prepared very well for that game, and you know, we've been Leinster champions the last 5 years, last 6 years, and we weren't going to give up our title without a fight.
Cleared by Michael Rice, picked up here by Richie Power, swinging it, having a go and putting it over the bar.
You know, we got through that day, and we were where we wanted to be, which was an All-Ireland semi-final. And you know, we kind of set out at the beginning of the year to say that what we planned, we'd 4 games this year, and we thankfully had 2 of those over, so we were delighted with that success.
Tommy Walsh has the ball. Kilkenny have the trophy. They are the first team to do 4 in a row since the 1940s.
You know, there was a few guys that would be disappointed with the performance, and we look back on statistics, and some of the statistics didn't make for good reading. And you know, we're hoping to put that right this year. But again, like, we know what we're coming up against, and we know if we're not at the top of our game, that there's only going to be one winner, and it's not going to be us. If we happen to win the 5 in a row, it'll go down in history, and it'll be great to be part of that. You know, anyone would love to be part of that, and like, I'm no different. And hopefully, you know, if all goes well, we'll be celebrating on the first Sunday in September, and so that's what I'm looking forward to.
It is, of course, that's Richie Power, and it's, you know, Richie has made his place in that Kilkenny team over the last couple of years, and as John Allen was making there, when you look down the list of subs, I know we're repeating ourselves here, but the quality in the subs there to win your place on that Kilkenny team is an achievement in itself.
Well, sure, it's frightening when you look down and you see who's there. When you see Michael Rice in line for the hurler of the year last year, Martin coming for the won the All-Ireland, you could say, from them last year. Richie Hogan, the best underage player we saw.
Michael
maybe the last 4 or 5 years.
As many All-Ireland medals as Christy Ring.
Derek Lane. There's a litany of them, and then Owen Guinan and another brilliant up-and-coming player. But even it took Richie Power a while to establish himself on the team. Every player in Kilkenny must serve an apprenticeship. You know, that is the thing. But Richie is a supreme artist. You know, his ability to win ball in the air, not alone win it, but strike it all in one movement. You know, even a man on him, he can catch it and he's a stroke before the man can hook him. And he has also this other great ability of getting away from the man and creating that little space, as he showed in many of the goals, especially the last day, in the goal he scored the last day. So he's just...
And of course he comes from good stock to us.
He comes from great stock, you know, and the tradition that's there is just incredible. But like, even in the interview there yourself, you could see they're trying to turn last year on its head as well, right, saying they didn't get credit for beating Tipperary last year because of the referee and the decisions, and they're using that to pump themselves in on. They're using it to say, look, let's go out here now, lads, and let's show them that we really mean business, and last year was no fluke, you know, that we are the best team in the country. And I mean, that's a huge motivation factor. No complacency within the setup then at that stage, you know. So, I mean, they're masters at that. And Richie, I mean, he has taken up the mantle. If something goes wrong today with Henry, free taking particularly, right, there's going to be a big pressure put on him, because we've seen what Shefflin's been able to do from 65 yards and back for free taking and stuff like that. If something does happen to Henry, he's going to have to take over that mantle, and that is a huge pressure on Richie Power.
OK, time for us to get the thoughts of the rival managers ahead of this year's final. In a little while, we'll be talking to Brian Cody. But first, we're going to hear from the Tip manager, Liam Sheedy. Well, he has definitely put Tip right into the foreground of hurling's top contenders over the past 3 years. But last year's All-Ireland final defeat was clearly a huge disappointment. And today, then, offers the chance of redemption.
It's a great occasion, you know, going out to play in an Ireland final for the lads. Obviously, it was our first final in a while, and you're really just trying to make sure that the lads, they have the same routine that they've had right throughout the championship.
What a very good save by Brendan Commons. Goal shot!
Brilliant save.
What a save. And it's a penalty. They need it. It's in the back of the net. In for cover for Hurling. 2 in a row.
We found PJ Ryan in exceptional form, and, you know, as I said, maybe if we had to get 1 or 2 of those goals, you know, it might have given us a little bit of breathing space. But, you know, full credit to them, I guess. You know, every man has to play his part, and you'd have to say that PJ was very good in the final. They are an exceptional team, but, you know, we're delighted to get the chance. I mean, after getting to the final last year, we were anxious to get back up there again, and thankfully we're there. For us, really, it was about, you know, after the game, you know, what can we learn from it? You know, what areas did we do really well in, and what areas can we improve on? And, you know, in fairness to the lads, that's all the time we're trying to obviously better our performance and get up a level again. And, you know, that's the challenge for us now again this year. People sometimes forget and underestimate, you know, how difficult it is for teams to win championship games down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It was always going to be a very difficult assignment, and, you know, maybe, you know, we just weren't up for the battle on that day on the 30th of May. And, you know, when the results are going well, you get all the tactics right, and when you lose a match, you know, you just don't get the tactics at all. So, you know, we were really disappointed, you know, as a management team, as a backroom team, as a unit, you know, the performance that we give our county down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. But, you know, I think, you know, you can look at it in 2 ways. We were delighted to have a second opportunity. This is still a very young team that's in, you know, that's definitely, you know, moving in the right direction. You know, I mean, you take our half forward line the last day, you've got, you know, a 21-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 19-year-old. You know, so I mean, people sometimes forget that this is a team that are in development. Probably a little bit more battle-hardened on the back of 2 great victories against Galway and Waterford this year, and you know, maybe the route that we took hasn't been a bad thing. And, you know, as I said, we're going in there and we want to bring our performance out onto the pitch again. And if you do, you know, we're under no illusions that we're playing the best team in the country, and probably the best team in the history of the game. But, you know, that's the challenge, and every sports person loves a challenge, and we're no different, and that's why we're delighted to get the opportunity. For a lot of people, I guess it's a big match in Ireland final, but for us, it's you know, we do the same routine coming up to this match as we've done for every other match. And you know, as I said, having the boys relaxed and getting them ready to go out and give their all for the jersey, and I'd be absolutely 100% confident they'd do that. If someone had to tell me on the morning of the 31st of May that Tipperary would be back in the Ireland final, I'd say I'd take my chance.
For 2009, Brian Cody's already got 6 All-Ireland victories, 10 Leinsters, 5 National Leagues and 11 seasons. Surely the most successful manager there has ever been.
When I started out as Kilkenny manager, my big ambition was just to build a spirit in the whole team and to get a great unity within the whole hurling set-up in Kilkenny, I suppose. Obviously, the ambition long-term is to win All-Ireland finals, but, you know, you have to get everything in place first before you can try and do that, I think. And, you know, we try to get good structures there and get the essentials in place. I think the key to it in lots of ways is, you know, you can talk about development squads and you can talk about all these kind of elite kind of structures, but to me it goes way beyond that. You know, what's much more important is, you know, first of all, the families. I mean, there's a huge passion for hurling in the county, and, you know, almost inevitably they're born into, if not a hurling family, the fella up the road, the fella down the street, or the fella very, very close to them are in the school they go to, probably they'll be touched by hurling as well. Your dream, your ambition, I suppose, is to try and get to the first Sunday in September, try to be in Croke Park, out on the pitch, and then you've got to get out and play and perform and see where that brings you. But you know, at the start of every year, if you thought you could get there, you'd be very, very happy. This year, as it turned out, we beat Dublin in the first round, and you know, we beat them fairly well in the end, and definitely Dublin didn't play to the same level, I suppose, as they were capable of playing on the day. And that set up a Leinster final clash with Galway. You know, at half-time, the general opinion again was that Galway had a seriously good chance of winning the game, but our second half performance was strong.
Corner of the net.
We threw over some great scores, I suppose, you know, and we almost closed out the game to an extent, and, you know, we had a good win there, definitely.
They are some team, and you know, how are they going to be stopped now from the 5-0?
It doesn't worry me, it just amazes me that people think like that, you know, and it's silly because we're playing Tipperary the next day. It could have been Waterford on that day, but we're playing Tipperary the next day. They said probably the same thing last year at different occasions, and suddenly we're probably thinking with 10 minutes to go on the All-Ireland final, they're going to give the cup to Tipperary. So I mean, you know, you don't see, the sports doesn't work like that at all. I'm not obsessed with 5 in a row or with history at all, you know. If I were obsessed with those things, I would have been clever enough to get out after 3 in a row maybe, because it was a nice little milestone, you know. Devastation is what will creep in if we lose the All-Ireland final, but it's going to be there for one county today, or Kilkenny or Tipperary. Huge opposition, you know, very, very definitely last year's final, massive game. I suppose we're not preparing too much from the point of view of Tipperary. We're preparing as ever for ourselves and to be as best we possibly can, and we have to be at our absolute best to be able to have a chance of winning this game.
The opportunity to Kelly. Here's another one.
You know, after the Cork match this year, since then, Tipperary have just grown and grown, and Tipperary to me are an outstanding team. I'm saying it now doesn't matter because nobody, see the people seeing the preview of the game is going to see this, so it's not as if I'm blowing them up. They're just an excellent team, and it's going to be a great battle.
And that, of course, was Kilkenny manager Brian Cody, and this is the Kilkenny team as they arrive out onto the pitch for this year's All-Ireland Hurling final. Tip still to come out onto the pitch. And one thing, gentlemen, and Cyril Farr, that we were looking at was this man here as he ran out, Henry Shefflin, and he came out at a nice pace, I can tell you.
He definitely did, and like I think he was trying to make a statement already. Like I know Ger Hartman through a good friend of mine, Conor Flynn, and so Ger here beside me. And like he can perform great things. He's very much up in the athletic world, and he's kind of able to do these kind of miracle cures really. Now, if he stays to 70 minutes or not is another thing. But I think what Brian Cody's thinking is it's better to start him and let him lead from the front, and if he gets injured in or he's not able to do it, he comes off. Whereas if you bring him on as a sub, you could lose with impact straight away.
And not even a bandage on the knee.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking in there. He's the model player certainly, you know. And I mean, seemingly the work rate that he's done over the last couple of weeks to build up the strength in the knee muscles and stuff like that has been phenomenal. 3 or 4 times a day working out with him, but I think no matter who you get working on the knee, it's down to the individual himself, and he wanted to be out here today, you know, and he wanted it badly to get himself right to be out here today. Other guys in the past, you know, you'd ask yourself, John Tennyson, why was something like that done with John Tennyson? I mean, he's waiting for an operation at this stage, right? And now he's playing an All-Ireland final, you know.
But so I think, Tomas, the real thing about Henry Shefflin is, look back over all their matches that they haven't been beaten in. They were never behind at half-time in any game. The tone for every game is set by Henry Shefflin. Watch him in the first half. He'll point in possible frees. He steadies down everybody else. He directs all the forwards. So even if you go off after 20 minutes itself, look at the last time we need to go off. The game was won. The flow of the game, the tempo of the game was set. Then you could bring anybody from the stand and they'd play well after that. So it was vital for them that he would start today to set that tone, to settle the team, to get them on their way. And if he has to leave after a while himself after that, it won't have the same impact.
That's John Tennyson. Making a little grimace there.
He grimaced there. But Ger, another thing that's going to happen, like you have to ask yourself, it's the first time I think in my time out I've seen Kilkenny getting wrapped, not through their fault, that the injuries seem to took on a life of their own. And like you had these thousands that train and thousands that train. Now to me, John Tennyson could be kind of even slightly, he's after grimacing there already, but like he's one to play. But like the event has been taken over by another event, and that can kind of entrap a county, because even their minor team, now I know they're all Ireland champions, but they just didn't hurl at all today compared to where they can.
And even think with Tennyson, right, he hasn't hurled for the last couple of weeks, right? Certainly, you know, because of the injury, he has been out because of that, and because Brian Hogan is missing as well. I think that's probably more crucial than actual Henry Sheffield himself. The central position, the spine of their team at number 6 has to be a commanding figure, you know. And I mean,
and you're right, Tom and Tomas, and as well as that, is Tommy Walsh okay as well? Is his shoulder perfect as well? So there are a few questions for the first time in a long time. There are a few questions.
Some of these lads presumably will ask those questions later on.
Well, you see, they'll be asking them early on. They'll be asking you, you know, if you're the manager of a team and you see a weakness, you go for the weakness. Same as Kilkenny will go for Tipperary's weaknesses. You can be sure they'll target the Tipperary full back line because there's a perceived weakness right across that half back line. Same way Tipperary will target the fellas who are injured not unfairly. They'll hit them hard, see will the injuries hold up, and if they do, then they hold up. But you know, you have to test them. That's the whole thing. You must test them right at the start.
Okay, let's go down pitch side again and find out who Marty Morrissey has with him this time.
Thank you very much, Michael. Well, just down here at gate 38, just in front of the Hill 16, I'm joined by 2 legends of the game of hurling. Between them, they've 8 All-Ireland medals, starting with the All-Ireland winning captain 1989, Bobby Ryan. When you hear that roar with Tipperary coming out onto the field, I'm sure you'd like to be back there again. But are you anticipating you can win today?
Yeah, we're very confident, Marty. I think it's it's going to be a really, really tight game. But I've said it all week, and as the game has drawn closer, I'm even becoming more confident if that's possible. It's it's a wonderful occasion, and as I know, and Eddie I'm sure knows, on All-Ireland final day anything can happen. And I am expecting a very good game of hurling and a classic, perhaps. But I think we can shade it.
6 times an All-Ireland winner, Eddie Kerr. Just had to drop that in, Bobby. Eddie, I know you're used to winning All-Irelands and you have a magnificent team, but was the last couple of days and the last couple of hours here in Croke Park, are you extra nervous?
Yes, I mean you'd always be nervous, even when you were playing. The longer you played, I'm sure Bobby would agree. As you got older, you got more nervous, but I suppose you learned how to cope with it a bit better, and you need a bit of nervousness going out on the field. But for this build-up between 2 fantastic teams, there's great anticipation. We're all looking for a wonderful match, and I know that these 2 teams will provide it.
The plan has always been, it appeared, that in the first 15-20 minutes, Kilkenny tried to blow the opposition away. Are you anticipating the same plan today?
Well, they always start well, but I mean, Tip will be well ready for that, and Tip have a wonderful defence, as we saw last year. So that it'll be a mighty battle in the first 15 or 20 minutes.
Well, we look forward to Bobby Ryan and indeed Eddie Kerr for joining us. We look forward to a great All-Ireland final. It's a little bit windy and drizzle coming in over the coast, so we look forward, above all else, to a thrilling All-Ireland final. Back to you, Michael.
And it's great to see all these former greats here with us in Croke Park for the big day as well. It's time to find out now.
Thank you, Michael. On this windy afternoon, the will he, won't he speculation has continued right down to the 11th hour. And in the event, Henry Shefflin is, as you know, going to start for Kilkenny in the All-Ireland hurling final. And so too is John Tennyson at centre-back, another who's been struggling with knee problems. In all, 5 changes from last year's starting team, including the Shamrocks pair, Cha Fitzpatrick and Michael Fennelly, playing in midfield. Tip introduced 3 All-Ireland final newcomers to their 15 starters. Michael Cahill, who made his debut against Cork, starts at left corner back, while on the half-forward line, 2 subs last year, Garrod Ryan and Patrick Maher, are included from the outset this time. And top marksman Owen Kelly is hoping to be the first from the South Division in Tipperary to captain his side to All-Ireland success. Let's see how they all do. Back to Michael.
That is the very big question indeed, isn't it? Last few minutes before the big game, Tomas, for a player. Nervous times, obviously.
Oh, absolutely, but it's fantastic times as well. I mean, there's something wrong if you're not nervous going out in front of 80,000 people, you know, and it's just a tremendous feeling. And for the young guys, or for the guys that it's their first appearance, it is probably even more nervous, you know. But I mean, I think a lot of this game will be won in the half-back line of Kilkenny and the Tipperary half-forward line. I mentioned the Patrick Maher and the Garrod Ryan there. It's crucial today that they start winning ball in their positions. They got to hold Tommy Walsh, and they got Tennyson in his game, and JJ Delaney, particularly the 2 wing backs. They've got to make inroads there today if they have a chance of winning this game. So it is a big ask of Garrod Ryan and of Patrick Maher and of John O'Brien on the other side as well. John O'Brien was fantastic here the last day, got some unbelievable scores. 6 points from play, you know. So if they make inroads there, yes, Tipperary have a great chance.
There's the arrival of the captains, the toss of the coin, and it looks like Kilkenny won it, and Michael Wadding from Waterford will be our referee this afternoon. Ger Loughnane, I was talking to Anthony Daly the other day, and he was making the point that when Clare were here in '95, and achieved your All-Ireland. But for him, winning the Munster final was the big thing, because this was the big breakthrough. And he said the rest was a bonus, and he really kind of enjoyed the day and they relaxed into it. That's not the case for either team here today, because there's so much at stake.
Absolutely not. Kilkenny going for the 5 in a row now. You look at Tipperary's progress. First year with Liam Sheedy, won the Munster final, beaten in the semi-final. Second year, won the Munster final, won the semi-final, beaten in the final. Now this year, the only progress can be win the final. So they're under massive pressure as well. So you've two teams under equal pressure to win the final, you know. And I agree with that point that Mark is saying there. Kilkenny feel like as if they lost last year. You know, a lot was taken away from them, blaming the referee. Now, in fairness, that wasn't Tipperary's fault. You didn't hear any Tipperary man, any Tipperary official blaming the referee. But that's, you know, Kilkenny have fed on that, and they feel this year we're going to show who are the real bosses here, and that we should really have won by a lot more last year.
And in truth, Cyril, you know, when there's so much at stake, and after last year's final, there was even competition a bit on the sideline during a league match earlier on in the year between Liam Sheedy and Brian Cody, you know. So I mean, these fellas will want to be meeting each other again.
Yeah, well, like, you know, the manager, like, it's got bigger and bigger and bigger, and most people think that Brian Cody is very calm, and he is, and so is Liam Sheedy. But you can get animated on the line, and for that minute or two you could do something daft. But like once it starts, like, you know, that's it. That's like Pádraig Maher there, a great wing back. All-star full-back last year, got out the wing-back, will probably be full-back again, I'd say, for the under-21s next weekend. A big task on him now, because you're probably going to find out it'll probably be Owen Larkin on him or T3, whichever. Owen Larkin to be this year, even though he's not scoring, Michael, for Kilkenny. The last day against Cork on these, he was breaking the tackle going right through, and I saw him 2 weeks ago on training, and he was actually scoring. Now, he's one that could come up with a big game. But it's also referred to the half-back line, the half-forward line. I expect Noel McGrath to go to the half-forward line again. It's a very young half-forward only for John O'Brien there. They have to win that battle there, at least hold 50-50, because if they don't, Kilkenny get enough ball to win the game.
But you see, the last day, Noel McGrath with the centre forward, and it worked out perfectly, because Brick Welch was falling in front of the full back. That won't happen in Kilkenny. His man, Tennyson, is going to mark Noel McGrath right down on top of him the whole time, so he won't be getting that loose ball. So he can't be expected to get 4 or 5 points with the ease with which he got on the last day. The same way with John O'Brien. Now, you know, even though we say that, you know, Tip might have won the last year, 11 Kilkenny players scored from play last year, only 5 from Tip. You know, and how can you argue then that Kilkenny didn't deserve to win the game?
The only thing I'd say about Kilkenny this year, right? Okay, they beat Dublin. They were good enough at times against Galway, right?
Yeah.
Cork were awful in the semi-final. Cork were absolutely awful in the semi-final, right? So, I mean, they've come in on the basis. Eddie Brennan has been taken off in his last 2 championship matches. Fogarty's come into the game the last day fresh, and I mean he's a very good player as well. But like the reality is, I know people are saying they're playing better than last year, and maybe there's probably a bit more physical stake about them than last year. But have they been tested the way they were tested the year before?
But I think
and stuff
the big difference with last year, I know what you're saying is true, but all they can do is beat what's in front of them. But the big difference to me, if Noel Hickey is good enough full back, and usually he is, it releases JJ Delaney to midfield or to wing back. Now that makes them way stronger. Now I thought the midfield partnership earlier on, Michael Finney and Michael Rice was absolutely brilliant. 2 athletes. Now Rice got interested and Chad came in, and up front, like, you know, they're throwing around. Eddie Brennan was very noticeable in the last 2 nights in the training matches in Kilkenny. He was on the B side, but if he was, he cracked in 1 or 2 great goals. He's a natural corner forward, and when he started his career, Brian was always taking him off. He'd score a goal to be taken off, like, and you know, he's nearly at the end of his, well, I shouldn't say end of his career now, but he's one of the elder statesmen. But yet he's great for these vital goals. Kilkenny have a lot going for them, and I just referring to Richie Power there on the interview I heard him. He kind of referred back to didn't get much credit. You know, they have this thing in their head. We want to blow these fellas out together. Now,
Eddie's wife, by the way, is a Tipperary woman. I wonder if he got the best look going out this morning.
I'd say it on.
Like, this man is going for history today. We don't talk about Henry. He's going for 8 All-Ireland medals, the same as Ring, and the same as John Dye, the same as Henry Shefflin. He has 26 goals got in championship games in about 43
vital ones, Ger.
Absolutely vital, and usually at the start of the game.
And
now, watch today, he's on Michael Cahill, an under-21 player. The last time he faced an under-21 player here was against Limerick in Seamus Hickey, and he fairly demolished Seamus in every way, score-wise, physically, and everything else. So he's a man for the big occasion, you know. And we see there Henry. This is when I think of Henry's greatness. How many frees does he miss? You know, you could put Richie Power on the frees at the start today. He'd be under big pressure. You know, would he be as consistent there? Whereas Henry, you're almost certain he's going to score a free, a 65 from any distance. So, you know, they have so many options in the bench. They have so many great forwards on the field. I hope that's not one of them injured already.
Are you surprised, though, that Michael Rice isn't on the starting 15? To me, obviously, there are concerns about Shefflin that they've kept Michael Rice as a substitution. To me, Michael Rice was an automatic on the team, so there must be some concerns
He
there.
can play centre to Moss, he can play wing forward, he can play either in the half hour line, he can play midfield. He's such a versatile player, and if you're going to have him, if you're going to leave him as a sub, leave him to cover 3 or 4 positions, which is exactly what he can do.
And when, Cyril, you speak of great Kilkenny players, is there any better than this man here?
Well, I've said it for the last few years, to me, pound for pound, irrespective of he gets into a lot of trouble, sometimes he's thrown down lately, but pound for pound, he's the best hurler in the country.
Tommy Walsh.
Tommy Walsh. Brilliant hurler, great in the air, he's a small fella, great left and right, and all he does is tear into the ball as hard as he can. He came across Jackie Tyrrell in the club match lately. Tyrrell was coming out with the ball, Tommy's playing midfield for his club Tyrone and took him on, and I think he wound up the worst of that scenario, but most people do against Tyrrell to be the best of friends, but just sure it goes on a club for them. But this guy, like, if he comes back to himself, he's a dynamo. You're expecting this, he's so good. He's won All-Stars in every position. You're expecting to be kind of 9 out of 10 every day. That's what he did.
But that's where Brendan Cummins will come into the equation as well today. I think with Puckles will be crucial as well, that he's not raining ball down on top of that half-back line, particularly Tommy Welch and JJ Delaney, because we've seen so many times they catching ball out of the air when they've no right to actually win it. So I'd expect maybe a bit like they did against Waterford, maybe shorter Puckles and stuff like that. Try and draw the Kilkenny guys out of position, because they will need to do that. They will need to keep the game wide. You saw in the minor game with Clare, keeping it very, very wide as well.
But also, Tomas, just watch how many times today that Tommy and JJ will be inside their own 21. So really you have 5 defenders inside that 21. That's how they block the way to goal. They're prepared to give away a free, they're prepared to give away a point, but they'll put their lives on it rather than give away a goal. And while they're back there, then the half-back line is coming back cover from them. The minute they win the ball, they're all rushing forward at such a pace. And then the forwards have their own backs facing the goals, which the Tipperary backs will hit. So their tactics are you know, you could say they're simple, but they're ingenious. Exactly. They're simple and ingenious and very effective.
We saw a shot there a moment ago. There's Brendan Cummins, of course, Tip's long-standing goalkeeper. We also saw a shot of Owen Kelly, who's our captain. Little word maybe about Owen Kelly, because, I mean, this has been... Lara Corbett is there, he's an important player, but this man has been superb year in, year out, to the good and the bad.
From Mullinahone, has back problems, and would you believe the last time, Michael, for the semi-final, he told me he aggravated by going kind of doing extra work for the back in the gym and actually twins it. Now I think today is much. I know he got to 2 goals the last time, and everyone said he played well. I didn't think up to his own standards he played that well the last time. He's freezing that. I expect today he'd get all these frees and like be much sharper.
Okay, we'll now the guest of honour as usual here at Croke Park for today.
If that's not there, and I don't think it is, being honest with you, listening to seeing the body language of the players there on the field, that I think Kilkenny will win this.
And the little spits of rain, as you can see on the lens down there on the pitch as well. Final word from Cyril Farr.
Yeah, it'll make the pitch a bit slippy. Like, first of all, Michael, you have the 2 best hurling teams in the country there, and Tipper the best team equipped to bring down Kilkenny. But yes, it's very hard. Like, for all known form, you'd have to say Kilkenny are good enough and to go on and make history. But like for the other hurling counties as well, to be saying kind of half praying says for once there'll be 31 counties there. He's hoping, praying for Tip to win to just get everyone back on a level keel again. But to me, I still think Kilkenny will win this one.
All right, lads, thanks for that. It's the All-Ireland Hurling Final of 2010. Time to join our big match commentators Gerard Canning and Michael Duignan.
Michael, thank you very much indeed. The rain comes down. It's a gloomy afternoon, but the setting is spectacular. The prize, the biggest hurling has to offer on a uniquely Irish day, where there's the promise of craft and courage, quality and pace, thrills and excitement. And the crowds have gathered here from early morning. They've been coming here indeed all weekend to Dublin. 82,000 people packed into Croke Park, a full house here to enjoy the fair, joined by hundreds of thousands watching at home and abroad. And from the time the teams arrived here about an hour ago, the mood has been positive, if tinged with understandable anxiety. One way or the other, we're going to see history made this afternoon. Either the first 5 in a row or a drive for 5 blocked for the second time in under 30 years, or perhaps the first hurling final draw for 51 years. Alongside me is Michael Duignan. There's a strong breeze out there, Michael, and I note that Kilkenny won the toss and have opted to play against the wind. Is that how you would have done it?
Yeah, I think so, Ger. You know, sometimes All-Ireland finals take a while to settle down. There can be a few wides and a bit of nerves, and you know, they're obviously hoping that they can contain Tipperary in the first 15 or 20 minutes. But if Tip do get off to a good start, you know, maybe they'll rule that. But that's all part and parcel of the decision making on the day. You have to play both ways overall.
just looking at the bit of rain coming down, the pitch will be slippy. That won't suit maybe John Tennyson and Henry Shefflin. I just noticed John Tennyson grimacing there during the warm-up. He seemed to give his knee a bit of a knock. But look at one of the most fantastic occasions. I've never looked forward to an All-Ireland final like this one. Two brilliant teams. I think Tipperary in any other era would have an All-Ireland or two under their belt. Now this Tipperary team, led by Liam Sheedy, who I think has improved considerably as a manager over the years with them, and this great Kilkenny team going for 5 in a row, and it can go either way on the day, and I'm really looking forward to what should be a fantastic game.
Well, the Artane band just finishing their musical selection. It'll be the 21st time that Kilkenny and Tip have met in the championship. Tip still leading in the local rivalry by 12 wins to 8, but that's all part of history. Liam Sheedy there with his right hand and left hand men there, Eamon O'Shea and Michael Ryan. Michael on the left hand side there played a blinder, I seem to remember, in the 1991 final, also against Kilkenny. Well, that was a victorious. Hearts and minds and willpower expected. Will Kilkenny under Brian Cody prevail this afternoon and become the history makers? Can Tipperary produce a match-winning performance? We've got 70 minutes to provide us with an answer. Michael Wadding about to get the match underway. It's Kilkenny from left to right for this first half, and straight away back towards Tommy Welch, dodging away from the challenges, and a hefty one at that coming in from Noel McGrath. Free immediately awarded. Little quick warning there by the referee to McGrath just to cool it down a little bit. He's only 19 years of age. And this is hit by John Dalton. He hits it a long distance inside towards Richie Power. Spills around in there. Anxious moments for the backs. Conor O'Mahony getting a first possession. Hitting it away down towards Lark Corbett, who's moved out onto the 40. That was anticipated, either a move out there by himself or by Noel McGrath. You remember how successful McGrath was out there against Waterford in the semi-final. Just have a look at this again here. And the free to Henry Shefflin as a result of that foul. This, I think, is the first time I could remember two players going into an All-Ireland final with two very dodgy knees.
That's right, and see Lark Corbett gone to centre forward, and John Tennyson obviously just trying to test him with the pace early on. Noel McGrath gone to full forward, and Patrick Maher out at left half forward. John O'Brien in the left corner.
Henry Shefflin in to try and open the scoring here, and he's hit it away to the right-hand side, and in spite of the best attempts of Eddie Brennan to keep it in play, that's the first recorded wide of the match. It's a very blustery afternoon, mist coming down as well. Very uncomfortable for the players. Breeze behind Tipperary essentially for the opening 35 minutes as Brendan Cummins pucks it out towards Patrick Maher, operating at left half forward, the number 11 in the white helmet, prodding it on there, trying to make some inroads, stopped by John Dalton. Standing his ground there, back out as far as Tommy Welch, and Welch letting it fly up towards Henry Shefflin, the wind holding it up a little bit. Henry's after it, so too is TJ Reid, the team captain. Nice looking shot, good looking shot, but it doesn't quite have the distance, and Brendan Cummins plucks it down and hits it away to the right hand side, trying to put his own forwards into the attack immediately. Noel McGrath there comes back out here once more. Shane McGrath picking it up, referee blowing his whistle for that foul, and Michael Wadding pointing in the general direction of the Kilkenny goal. So Henry Shefflin's missed with a free already. Now it's Owen Kelly's turn.
Yeah, John, I think the wind is a bigger factor, than the minor matches. Really after picking up, you saw Henry Shefflin's free, couldn't get the distance, and TJ Reid there only from 30 yards out again dropped it short. So Tip will need to get a bit of a lead up by half time.
So Owen Kelly, the team captain, winner of 5 All-Stars. Really good opportunity here to put his team in front, hitting it with deadly accuracy and putting it over the bar. Scored 13 points in last year's final, 3 of those coming from play. It'll be interesting to see how he does against Noel Hickey this afternoon. Last year it was JJ Delaney, remember, who was in at full back. TJ Ryan's puck out, straight down through the centre again. Henry Shefflin the target. Coming across to cover here is Padraig Maher. Helped out over there by the other wing back, Declan Fanning, running into traffic. Into the centre of the field here, Shane McGrath, the yellow helmet, bottled up in there, and the referee says you held on too long. And it's a free once again for Kilkenny, so a second free for them at the target, and a chance for them to go level. This will be from the 45-metre line. McGrath will claim there wasn't a great deal he could have done about that, but he was surrounded immediately by very eager Kilkenny players. We're coming in to offer a towel there, just try and dry the handle of the hurley for Henry Shefflin. Missed one already, this to tie it up, and he's done the needful. So the first 2 points of the match coming from frees, from the expected sources, Henry Shefflin and Owen Kelly.
Yeah, you can,
still at the settling down stage.
Yeah, Jerry, you can see here, you know, Brendan Maher and Shane McGrath in the midfield trying to keep way out of the middle of the field and make room for the forwards. Michael Fennelly getting under that one there.
This comes straight down from the tap as far as Henry Shefflin. Running into a number of players there in the middle of the park. Cha Fitzpatrick kicking it out towards Owen Larkin. Works his socks off in all matches. Blocked down well. McGrath was coming across. Out came Conor O'Mahony. Needs a second go. This time kicks it forward towards Owen Kelly. Has drifted out. Brendan Maher is trying to get away from John Tennyson. Held. And once again the referee blows his whistle, and it's going to be another free for Kilkenny and a chance for them to get or for Tipperary rather, and a chance for them to get a second point. Owen Kelly ready to take it.
Yeah, and it's been a big feature Tips play over the last couple of games, in particular the movement of the forward line, and you can see it again already today. They're moving all over the place, creating space, and they're looking for runners then to come through, like Shane McGrath and Brendan Maher and maybe Lara Corbett, just to pick up this breaking ball and carry it forward. And you know, interesting too, Jared, today, I think 5 Tipperary players are under 21. You know, Kilkenny with a much more battle-hardened team, if you like, you know, don't tend to have, they've no under 21s in their panel at all, so it'll be interesting to see, you know, the youth versus maybe more experienced, and you know, as the game draws on, will these young players, you know, have the legs, even though they have a couple of years maybe on the panel now, but will they have that power and physical fitness required?
Well, that's as Owen Kelly put that one over. That was the block there by Shane McGrath. He injured himself in the process, and
there he is again. Yeah, there's some great, you can see that in both teams, great hunger, and that's part and parcel of the game now. You know, the level of fitness so high.
This runs on here towards Shefflin once again. Very active in the early minutes of this match, inside towards Richie Parr. Loses it, however, comes back out towards Brendan Maher. He's having a terrific season. Back out towards Padraig Maher, his namesake. Missed by Patrick Maher. There's Mars everywhere and anywhere in the Tipperary team. John Dalton driving it a long distance. Held up on the breeze a little bit, however, as Richie Parr was coming for it, and Paul Curran got there first. Out to Brendan Maher. Big one down. Prodded on there by Garroyd Ryan, but again won by the man in the corner there, who is John Dalton, who's having a mighty season. Jackie Tyrrell, the number 4, breaking out from left corner back, fouled on the 65-metre line. Free to Kilkenny. You can see just how pumped up the players are. Every time they get a decision, they try to G up their colleagues.
Yeah, Jackie Tyrrell very comfortable out the field. But Paul Curran here, you mentioned a couple of players in that passage to play. Paul Curran having a brilliant year for Tipperary, Brendan Maher in the middle of the field, and John Dalton really, you know, keeping Michael Kavanagh off the team, who has 7 All-Ireland medals and playing very well in training.
Look how far out they brought Henry Shefflin to take this from his own 65-metre line. It's dropping short, it's touched out there. They're trying to race after it. Michael Cahill trying to get it away to the man at left half back, who was full-back last year, Padraig Maher. Trying to measure his clearance into the middle of the field. Might work out for them, not quite, because Cha Fitzpatrick's won it back again. One of those to captain Kilkenny to one of their All-Ireland titles in the last 4 years. Tip have it again. Shane McGrath. Oh, he's given it away poorly. Put the pressure, however, on Noel Hickey, and the ball is stolen away by Owen Kelly. Immediately a group of players converge on him, and Hickey wins it back. Poor clearance, out only as far as Noel McGrath from some 45 metres out. Should be the goalkeepers, comfortably taken in there by the 33-year-old from Fenians. And PJ Ryan's clearance is a big one up towards Henry Shefflin. One back again by Paddy Stapleton this time. Look at how awkward it is for the players in possession to get enough latitude to get the ball away in this match. Very tense opening 8 minutes. Owen Larkin, high up into the clouds, batted down by Conor O'Mahony, out as far as Padraig Maher. Still he goes forward, the under-21 captain, who's a big date against Galway next Saturday night in Thurles. That's the under-21 final. Meanwhile, in the All-Ireland senior final, it's Owen Kelly, who loses out there, smartly taken away by JJ Delaney. Well, how he loves to be out at left half back, his best position. Michael Fennelly now, inside towards Eddie Brennan. That's an important intervention. Taken away there, Eddie Brennan, and Henry Shefflin try to win the ball back for Kilkenny. Conor O'Mahony has it for Tipperary. Big clearance, huge one down. John O'Brien competing for it. It's won, however, by Tommy Welch. The referee has blown his whistle and signals that there was a foul down there, and it's going to be a free in for Tipperary.
Yeah, great passage to play there, Jerry. Owen Kelly trying to get a ball. I think it was Patrick Maher gone inside, and then pushing the back there. He lost his hurl and he wasn't taking any chances, but then the ball went up the far end of the field and Eddie Brennan was gone inside, and a very important interception again by Paul Curran, who started very well.
So a free to Tipperary, which is going to be taken by Owen Kelly. 10 years ago, when he first got a championship jersey, it was number 16, because he wasn't just an outfield player, he was also substitute goalkeeper that year. Back in 2000, 10 years on, looking for a second All-Ireland winners medal, one in 2001, of course. And he's got another point here. That's 3 for Owen Kelly. 3 from 3 in the 10th minute of the 122nd All-Ireland hurling final. Well, it's the kind of start Tipperary would have expected to make with the breeze behind them.
Yeah, it's been very tight, a lot of hard tackling, and you know, intriguing really, not as stylish as you might have expected. No score from play so far, but still very interesting.
As Shane McGrath wins that. Huge one down towards Lark Corbett. He's got it! He scored! A goal by Lark Corbett! His 17th ever in championship hurling. A crucial one here, coming after 10 minutes. And it's 1-3 to a point. It was a huge delivery. All of a sudden, Lark Corbett was one-on-one there. Beat his man, beat the goalkeeper, put it into the back of the net. And there you saw the fullback exposed big time by Lark Corbett, beating Hickey, beating Ryan, and Tipperary with a huge boost.
Yeah, what you saw was fantastic technique by Lark Corbett. We've seen it many times over the years, but just the way he used his body, held off Noel Hickey, and a great finish. And you know, the thing that's happened here, the Kilkenny backs don't know who they're marking. They're moving all over the place. Noel McGrath was centre forward a couple of minutes ago, or not Noel. Yeah, Noel McGrath is now centre forward. Lark Corbett was gone in full from centre. Now he's over in the corner, and this movement is confusing the Kilkenny backs, and they don't know who to pick up.
Well, as you say, a lot of the Tipperary players are under 21, about 5 of them, but they have experience of playing in last year's All-Ireland final. That just might stand to them yet, as Henry Shefflin plays it in here towards TJ Reid. This could be a rapid response. Oh, what a stop by Brendan Cummins. Still in play, stopped there by Paul Curran, gets it away here. Spotted the attentions there of Aidan Fogarty, makes the clearance. Big one down. Tipperary fans loving the early moments of this match. Owen Kelly over there alongside Jackie Tyrrell, and the line ball has been given to Tipperary. 2 linesmen this afternoon are James Owens and Brian Gavin.
Yeah, you see here TJ Reid, I think it was a poor effort. You know, really should have headed for the goals. He just, you know, it was a perfect height. Brendan Cummins nearly could have caught that ball. You know, they should have, I think TJ Reid took, you know, he carried it away from the goals instead of heading straight for the goals there.
Well, it didn't get there, and it's been batted out this time out towards Owen Kelly again. Well blocked down by Jackie Tyrrell. Another opportunity for John O'Brien, and that one's gone over the bar. Great piece of activity down there by Tipperary once again, as John O'Brien completes all of that. We were watching referees at one end. That's what happened when we got back to live pictures. PJ Ryan out from the save from Owen Kelly, and finished in the end by John O'Brien. His first point, 1-4 to a point. Kilkenny's only point, a free from Henry Shefflin.
An important hook there by Jackie Tyrrell. It could have been another goal, and Tipper all over Kilkenny at the moment. There's Henry Shefflin, trouble with his knee.
Shefflin is in difficulty as Shane McGrath plays it down. Is the gamble about to backfire? John Dalton has it, and he's on the ground, and the referee blows his whistle. It's going to be a free out. Immediate concern for Henry Shefflin. Right now Kilkenny are down to 14 players, and Shefflin with the doctor there attending to him. That's Ty Crowley. A play continues, no subs been brought in just yet, and this is going to be a major body blow if that gamble fails.
He's definitely
quite a chance.
Definitely gone, Ger. I would think, you know, he pulled up straight away and took off his helmet. He's definitely gone.
Well, he's lasted just under 13 minutes, and he's been forced to walk across the field. He's going off, and he's going to be replaced now by Michael Rice, not unexpectedly. So number 19, Michael Rice, comes in. It's hard to believe that Brian Cody took that chance.
Well, I don't. I think he had no, you know, once he thought he was right, I think he had to start him. He couldn't bring him on and have him go off. So it has to really cause him any harm. It's not his fault to score. They're 6 points behind at this stage.
Well, this was the point he did score earlier on. Well, we're not to see that one. This was the injury. And this is where he hobbled away from it. Free to Kilkenny on this near side. Richie Power will take over the freeze, and Richie Power has driven it to the right and he's put it wide. That's a second wide now by Kilkenny. So Henry Shefflin, having scored the only point for Brian Cody's team so far in the match, is forced out of the game into the 14th minute now, and Kilkenny find themselves 1-4 to a point behind, but playing against the wind, I'll remind you. And that was their choice because they won the toss. Here comes Michael Fennelly. Nicely played into space here. Richie Power is after it. Paul Curran's in difficulty. Power still gets there. Trying to slip it inside towards TJ Reid. Comes back out towards Eddie Brennan. 3 players going for it, and they win it, but the referee saw a push, and it's going to be a free in for Kilkenny, and a second point chance coming up for them.
Yeah, John, I know it's only 15 minutes into the game, but it's a crucial period now for Kilkenny. You know, Henry gone off 6 points down. Really not creating many scoring chances. You know, I don't think they had a shot really apart from TJ Reid's shot there for the goal. So, you know, the resolve really going to be tested, and strong breeze. So it's really, you know, Tipperary have really had a great start, and one that, you know, really the young players especially one of the young players really needed.
So it's 10 minutes since they scored, so now Kilkenny needing this point by Richie Power. Both of their scores coming from place balls. And there's Henry Shefflin looking a very, very uncomfortable figure up there in the stand. Very, very disappointed. All the hard work that he's put in, tremendous courage on his part to try and get himself ready, but it just didn't work out. Puck out. Well caught. Brilliantly taken by J.J. Delaney. Well, Henry's absence now might even serve as a rallying force to do it for Henry. Owen Larkin. Big one up towards Eddie Brennan, trying to break it down to an incoming forward, and that one is Aidan Fogarty, and Fogarty, his customary style, very difficult character to mark, his unorthodox style of approaching a shot, but that was bouncing around there, was broken down, and Taggy was anticipating, and the former man of the match in an All-Ireland final some 4 years ago gets his first point in this final. Tipperary back. Brendan Maher now firing in a shot from 50 metres out, and that one has gone straight between the post and over the bar. Great score by a really fine young player, Brendan Maher, just 21 years of age.
Yeah, and great vision there by Noel McGrath. You know, I really like him at centre forward. He's a great man to throw the ball around, sees everything happening in front of him, and great time by Brendan Maher, as we said earlier, under 21 and having a great year in the middle of the field for Tip.
PJ Ryan's puck out. Brendan Maher goes to compete for it with Cha Fitzpatrick. It's picked up by another Maher, Pádraig Maher, on as far as Noel McGrath. Deciding to take it further. Inside to Brendan Maher, looking around him, well blocked down by Michael Rice. An all-star last year, didn't start this afternoon, but in the action in the last couple of minutes, and that time the referee penalises Kilkenny, and it's going to be a free for Tipperary, calling across Michael Fennelly.
I think it's Jackie Turrell.
It's Jackie Turrell, yeah.
Frontal charge there, and we think we've seen Jackie maybe in the last couple of games getting booked for similar incidents. He looks like he's booked again. Just noting him here.
Yeah. So his name recorded by the referee, mentally at least anyway, and any more of that and he could anticipate trouble. The two medical officers out there, Kevin Delargy and Peter Merchant, attending there to the stricken Brendan Maher. Not alone a candidate for Young Player of the Year this year, possibly a candidate for Senior Player of the Year as well. He was sandwiched, and Jackie was the one who actually caught him at the front of charge.
That's probably a yellow card. To be fair, he's looking to get away with that.
Well, we've seen yellow cards issued for that particular type of foul.
But he knew what he was doing. There was no attempt to play the ball, and he took him out of it.
Owen Kelly's going to take this. 65 metres out from the target. Breeze over his shoulder. 3 points already scored from frees. You can make it another one. So 4 for Kelly. Point for John O'Brien, point for Brendan Maher, and of course the goal for Lar Corbett as well after 10 minutes. So 1-6 to 3 points.
Yeah, Owen Kelly again, you know, so consistent with those frees. In the semi-final missed a couple, but you can see tuned in fully today and it started very, very well.
Broken down well here. John Tennyson sliding in for that one. Michael Rice trying to help out. Very difficult to retain possession. John Fitzpatrick now over his left-hand side, inside towards Richie Power, breaks away from Paul Curran's hands, comes back out. Larkin picks it up brilliantly, instinctively carrying it forward, dished out to Eddie Brennan, miss hit. The goal king was lurking with intent, looking to add to his very impressive collection of 26 championship goals so far. Came out to him there, miss hit it.
And I feel the referee played, this advantage rule we talk about that there isn't in hurling, but I think Owen Larkin was fouled there, and the referee, in fairness to him, it was a goal, everyone would say right decision, but here's the first shot puck up by Brendan Cummins, but that backfired. I think Kilkenny should have got a free there and tapped it over.
Well, now what can they do with the short puck out? They've made some headway, trying to bypass the half back line of Kilkenny ultimately, but it all breaks down, and it breaks down badly. That wasn't terribly well done. Free to Kilkenny. First time they've attempted that short puck out, and it really got bottled up about 50 metres out from their own goal, where they fouled Richie Power.
Yeah, it was great work by Richie Power, but our Tip have done well on the puck outs. I think they should puck it out to their half hours, try to keep it in front of them rather than those short ones, because Kilkenny forwards are very, very strong in the tackle.
If you go back to last year's tape of the final, they won a lot of the puck outs last year.
Yeah, they won an awful lot of ball, and keep it away from. I'd be playing it down the centre on Noel McGrath and keep it away from JJ Delaney and Tommy Walsh.
Richie Power, one pointed free already from one taken. And from a nice central position, he makes no mistake. So incrementally, Kilkenny tried to eat into Tipperary's lead, and it's 1-6 now to 4 points. Brendan Cummins playing his 62nd championship match today, pucking it out, well claimed by John Tennyson. Very important figure in that halfback. That's beautifully picked up there by Michael Rice, and the substitute sends it in towards Eddie Brennan, but it's whipped away from him by Michael Cahill. Out here, where Garrow O'Brien feeds it on towards Brendan Maher into the inside forward line. John O'Brien getting there. It's Owen Kelly, and Kelly sweeping it out with his hand back to Brendan Maher, and Brendan Maher trying to get it inside the right hand post, and he succeeds. A second point by the midfielder. Great contribution. Well, his work rate is really impressive. Started by Owen Kelly there after he got in there ahead of John O'Brien to get that back out as far as Brendan Maher and over the bar.
Yeah, and the difference in first touch. Eddie Brennan, missed the ball down the far and ended up great first touch by Owen Kelly, and a ball out to Brendan Maher and over the bar again.
Well, in spite of the slippery conditions, we've seen some lovely wristy hurling, lovely one-touch hurling to get the ball under control. Here comes Michael Rice. Foul this time by Michael Cahill. It's going to be a free for the school teacher from St. Kieran's College in Kilkenny, as the Tipperary manager Liam Sheedy calls the shots. Free which will be taken by Richie Power. Richie's got 2 points from frees already in this game. 2 out of 4 for Kilkenny. But it'll keep them in touch in much the same way as their minor team kept in touch against Clare before eventually in the second half running out winners. And that is just outside. A missed opportunity by the 24-year-old from Carrickshock. Not what Brian Cody ordered. But he won't panic. Puck out by Brendan Cummins. Trying to target John O'Brien, but it's won by John Dalton instead. Back towards Tommy Welch. And the referees noting the linesman's call here. Ball had gone out over the sideline. Linesman is James Owens from Wexford. I can remember Michael Watting was the linesman in a league final last year in Thurles, and he spotted something similar. A ball going out over the line when Henry had it. It ended up in the Tipperary goal that day. Here's PJ Ryan. Back out as far as Michael Fennelly. Having a great season. One of those days when you have to work hard. The conditions are difficult. Work rate will be important, and both of these teams know all about that. Eddie Brennan. Back out. Eventually picked up by TJ Reid. Reid steadying himself, having missed a goal chance earlier on, slips it beautifully and gracefully over the bar. His first point of this match. Lovely, easy, relaxed style of hitting, and 1-7 to 5 points. Again, the referee allowed him an advantage because he was being held back by the back, but he got into the clear and made the score. So 5 points the margin. From the puck out towards Scarrow O'Dryan, the ball flies over his head, however. Owen Kelly's over there to try and pick it up, shortens the grip on the stick, inside to Noel McGrath, trying to make some inroads here, trying to go by one or two backs. He's succeeded, kicking, and he's kicked the ball wide. It's Tipperary's first wide, but it was a glorious chance for him to have got something out of that.
Absolutely brilliant ball by Owen Kelly again. He's having some game. Every ball is glued to his hurl, and Noel McGrath, he did everything right, got inside his man, and I know he plays a bit of football as well, but bad wide.
And he managed to do all the hard work, and as you say, Owen Kelly setting it up beautifully for him.
Yeah,
PJ Ryan's puck
they're the
out.
chance they need to take, Jerry. Kilkenny aren't playing well, and Tipper are having all the scoring chances, and they need to take them now because Kilkenny will settle eventually.
Padraig Maher inside, picked up here by John Tennyson. And Tennyson, again, one of those players who defied what the medical people had been saying some weeks ago, that he hadn't a chance of playing for the rest of the season, but he's made a very brave and courageous bid to get into the final and played in this final. He's doing well so far.
Yeah, Jared, big free here, I think, for Richie Power. He's missed two out of four, I think, since he's taken them, and Henry missed one earlier as well. If they had those three, normally they don't miss frees, but there is a strong breeze, so it'll be interesting to see can he get the distance with this, but even for his confidence it's important, right in the middle of the field.
Well, just look at where the ball is positioned, right in that little centre line, right in the middle of Croke Park. 82,000 people watching, hundreds of thousands watching elsewhere on their TVs. Richie Power strikes, low trajectory, good accuracy, and over the bar. 3 for Richie Power, 6 for Kilkenny, and now there's 4 points between the teams. Not quite looking as black as it did for Kilkenny earlier on when Lark Corbett got his goal after 10 minutes. Well caught, JJ Delaney, brilliantly taken. Beyond Michael Rice, picked up here by Conor O'Mahony. Rice is on the 40, direct swap for Henry Shefflin. Pressure on the backs, comes out towards Tennyson again, playing well, slipping it with the hand as far as Michael Fennelly, trying to burst forward, challenged there by Shane McGrath. Foul, the referee has decided, and because there was a little protest by Tipperary, the ball has been brought forward, and it's now a more scoreable position for Kilkenny and for Richie Power.
Yeah, Kilkenny really begin to get going. Michael Fennelly on his side of the field, out hurling Shane McGrath at the moment, and Brendan Maher giving Cha a hard time at this side of the field. But John Tennyson, you mentioned a few minutes ago, in the last 10 minutes really has come into the game at centre half back, and he's closing down all the avenues there. And Michael Fennelly himself driving Kilkenny forward over the last 10 minutes, and this is free now if it goes over, just a goal between them.
Again, a very central position. Probably got his confidence going at this stage, should have anyway, he can afford to because he's striking it beautifully. They're not easy frees by any manner of means. So a goal, as you say, Michael, between the teams, 1-7 to 7 points.
Quick puck out by Brendan Cummins there, but the ref is saying he hadn't blown the whistle. You can't restart the game until he decides. So that's...
So plan A might have been a short puck out. Plan B was a kind of a half between a mid and a long puck out, and it really didn't work out initially, but this time Paddy Stapleton's been fouled. There's a degree of uncertainty about those puck outs.
But that's a terrible decision, Gerard. Owen Larkin was fouled on the way in. I thought it was a yellow card for Paddy Stapleton. He just took him out, he was going through. We'll watch it again here. Owen Larkin breaks onto the ball here. I don't think Paddy Stapleton just... Oh no, it wasn't, there is no shoulder, but here now, he's held back here, and there's a free, caught around the head, and a free out given. I don't understand that.
I can only assume he's saying for holding onto the ball too long, but he didn't hold onto the ball too long.
No, he didn't. No, he was trying to get away. In fairness to Paddy Stapleton, when I see the replay there, he met him square on.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
There was nothing wrong with that. Good cornerback play.
Brendan Cummins will take this free, just inside his own 45-metre line. Oh, it's a huge one. Oh, it's over the bar. His first ever point in championship hurling. What a day to do it. The breeze was behind him, but it needed the accuracy, brilliant accuracy.
That's one to Brendan that he's played a lot of times for Tipperary. He won't forget that one for a long, long time. We see Stephen Cluxton in the football taking 45s for the start of the trend.
And here comes Garroyd Ryan. Haven't seen too much of him so far. It drops short and PJ Ryan collects and delivers back up the field again, putting the pressure on Declan Fanning over there. Runs on towards Aidan Fogarty. Got a point already in the match. 2 Tip players converge on him. Paddy Stapleton was caught by the neck. Down he went. Free awarded. Not much doubt about that.
Brendan Cummins coming again to take it. No.
Well, the player who caught him here, I think, was
Michael Rice, yeah.
Michael Rice. Or Michael, yeah, was it Rice? Yeah, it was. And Brendan Cummins decides, if I can do it once, I can probably do it again. So, he's ready to take another long-range free.
This could hit the corner flag.
Henry watching. It's going to drop short this time. It could still be very dangerous. Across they come here. It was JJ Delaney who cleared it out. Collected here well by Brendan Maher. Trying to get a hand pass and a return from Padraig Maher. Noel McGrath eventually. On there as far as John O'Brien. And that's pinpoint accuracy, and it's over the bar in a second for John O'Brien. And it's a goal and 9 to 7 points. Tipperary leading with 5 minutes to go to half-time. And John O'Brien completed a fine move, and Tipperary are looking confident.
They are, and John O'Brien, I think he's only got those couple of balls, put them straight over the bar, and he had a brilliant game the last day, and you know, Hurling taking his chances very, very well again today.
Michael Cahill left that one because it's TJ Reid who picks it up for Kilkenny. Space at a premium. Out to Shane McGrath. Again, closed down by TJ Reid. So difficult to get any kind of latitude whatsoever in this match. Sheer intensity of the game. Michael Cahill trying to feed it back out, but he gives it away to Richie Power of Kilkenny. And Kilkenny trying to make some inroads to Richie Power. Back out again to Michael Fennelly. This way and that, and the referee says thrown, and it's got to be a free out for Tipperary.
And Jerry, you can see the way the game has gone. You know, the tackling of both teams just incredible. You see Michael Fennelly here. Yeah, good decision by Michael Wadding, right on the spot, and definitely threw it. We had 4 Tipperary players around, and Noel McGrath nearly back there, even though he's playing at centre forward as well. And great pressure by Tipperary.
So once again, Brendan Cummins. This is a good deal longer. He's going for it. And it's stopped by the other goalkeeper, PJ Ryan. Goal to goal. Oh, it's left behind here to Patrick Maher. In the end, Garroyd Ryan with a snapshot high up into the air, inside the right-hand post and over the bar. Another for Tipperary, and a first for Garroyd Ryan. So 6 points between the teams. Kilkenny had closed it to 4, and needed to 3, but now back out again. Very good spell by Tipperary before half-time as they try to maximise their advantage. But Owen Larkin's raiding inside here to Power. Oh, what a goal! Richie Power gets his 6th ever in the championship, his first this afternoon. And that's a goal and 4 for the man from Carrickshock. 3 points the margin. 3 minutes to go to half-time, and it started with Owen Larkin raiding. Look at the good run here, an intelligent run made by Richie Power, and a clinical finish to the back of the Tipperary net. It's some match. It's 110 to 1-7.
And that's as good a goal as you're ever going to see. A brilliant run by Larkin, and what a finish by Richie Power. A brilliant run away to make the space, and then a finish to the top of the net. And I was just going to say Tipperary deserved their 6-point lead, and next thing Kilkenny are back to 3 again.
Some contest. Padraig Maher up into the air, down it comes, and Tennyson competes for that one with McGrath. Comes back towards Larkin again. Fumbled that time by Richie Power, but it was difficult to contain it. And again the referee goes in, and this time I think he's got to throw the ball in. Wow, it's been up and down the park. One team getting back to within 3 points, another team blowing it out to 6, and then back to 3 with a goal. Wonderful contest. Tipperary trying to win possession here from inside their own 45-metre line. But they've lost it to TJ Reid and the Kilkenny captain, who'll be hoping to lift the Liam McCarthy Cup at the end of the contest. By the time we reach 5 o'clock, is fouled, and it's going to be a free in for the Cats. And the referee wants to do a little bit of talking. He's calling across Shane McGrath.
But that was a harmless tackle. He's going to give him a yellow card. Jackie Turl, frontal charge, black book. There's no consistency in that.
I'm sure the referee knows his name pretty well, but he asked for it anyway, and Shane McGrath gave it, and now he gets a yellow card.
I'm totally bemused by that. Very, very strange.
Free into Kilkenny at the end of it. Richie Power will take it.
Kilkenny just raising their intensity in the last, they look to be just settling really into the game. It's been so fast, so furious. Tipperary have been moving all over the place, tackling and hunting and attacks, and I think it's taken Kilkenny a while to get up to that intensity. All of a sudden 6 points down, now back to 2 points, and you have to say that they'll be happy going into half-time, with Tipperary maybe having dominated most of the first half.
There were 2 points between the teams going in at half-time last year also. It was Kilkenny who led then by 13 points to 11. John Dalton catches that brilliantly. And back up to the forwards. You can afford to hit it in towards Richie Power in the form he's in. Not to mention Michael Rice, who loves to raid. Normally a midfield player, but we've seen him play in the half forwards in the past, and he's done a right good job here. Feeling the pain a little bit of that as he went forward courageously, made it his. There'll be an added 1 minute of play at the end of the opening 35 minutes, where the teams have created 28 scoring chances. Kilkenny creating 15 and Tipperary 13. It's advantage Tipperary, but only by 2 points right now, and it'll be narrowed to 1 if this goes over.
The intelligence of Richie Power again there, high ball in. Paul Curran has been doing well in the air, up at the hurl, knocked it down, and Michael Rice running through, fouled, and another easy enough free you'd expect to tap it over the bar.
He took maximum care as well, he might, because he's now got a goal and 6 points. The 6 points have come from frees once he took over that chore from Henry Shefflin. The goal after 32 minutes. Henry with a smile on his face. The short puck outmade once again by Tipperary. Paddy Stapleton bottled up. Now they've got to be clever in their use of possession as the referee blows his whistle at the end of a first half where the crowd rises to the two teams. Richie Power has been the scorer-in-chief for Kilkenny, who played against the wind for the opening 36 minutes as it happened. They'll be much happier, I think, going in, because they'll have that win behind them. Owen Kelly got 4 points, all of them from frees. Henry Shefflin went off with an injury after just about 15 or a little under 15 minutes, with the return of the knee problem once again that's plagued him in recent weeks. And at half-time here at Croke Park, in the 122nd All-Ireland hurling final, there's just a point between these teams. The half-time score, it's Tipperary 1 goal and 10 points, Kilkenny 1 goal and 9. Michael.
Just a point. We knew it was going to be close. Back here in our Croke Park studio, we have Cyril Farrell, Tomás McCahey and Gerlach Nan. Cyril, Tip, I suppose you'd have to say, did 70% of the hurling in that first half. Just a point, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd be nice to Kilkenny. Probably did 80%. Great game of hurling. Tip took the game to Kilkenny straight away. Got on top at one stage, led by double scores. Henry went off early on. Kilkenny seemed to be kind of in disarray going over, but typical Kilkenny, they hung in. But the hurling and the scores got by Tipperary from long range have been unreal. They've been really up for the game, and they are up for it. But like Kilkenny are going in, and even though they're a point on at half time, Brian Cody be kind of saying to them, look lads, we didn't hurl at all, we're in the game. Now
They've weathered the storm, basically.
Liam Sheedy won't be happy. They should be a lot more up than the 1 point, but still they're a point ahead, and it's still all to play for. But like Kilkenny will be the happier of the two, because they were completely beaten for a lot of that game, and yet they're only a point down.
I know, that's what they're like, isn't it? We're going to take a short break. Further reflection on that first single point. 1 goal and 10 to 1 goal and 9. Cyril Farrell, Tomás McCahey, of course, and Gerlach Nan here in our studio. Tomás, the first few minutes were tense, as we would expect, but then Tip got into it, and they really did make the tonic start, the start they would have wanted to this game.
Yeah, and defensively, Michael, they were very good as well. You know, the full back line, the half back line, Padraig Marr, Paul Curran at full back. I mean, they were winning all the high ball that was coming in around the square, they were winning the breaking ball, and they were driving play on, and they were actually getting quick ball up into their forward division as well. And I mean, Kilkenny looked to be in trouble in that first 10 or 15 minutes. And you were saying for Tipperary, tack on a few points and the goal chance will come, you know. And no better man when the goal chance comes than to see the likes of Larry Corbett 1-on-1 inside in the square, you know. And we haven't seen any more of that though from Tipperary in that first half either, you know. And here's it's a high ball by Shane McGrath in the middle of the park. And look, you have Larry Corbett inside, isolated with Noel Hickey and no better man in that position. But Tip have never actually doubled up on that. They haven't gone down that road. I mean, Lara's have to come away out to the half-forward line because they started to struggle in key areas in that half-forward line there in the last 10 minutes of that first half, where you saw Tommy Walsh coming into his own, you saw JJ Delaney coming into his own as well, you know. So, I mean, it's something I think Tipperary will have to rectify for the second half. If you have quality players like that inside, you must get ball in there, you know. So, and that's down to your half-forwards outside, winning possession and working it inside.
Tip did a bit of fouling. They let Kilkenny get scores from frees, and then, of course, if Lar Corbett is the man to get a goal for Tip, then Richie Power is the man to get a goal for Kilkenny.
They're repeating the faults they had in the semi-final. Right, okay, we look at the goal here, which is, you know, running at the defence. That is the secret with Kilkenny. That's what most of that scores come from. Great ball here, and then Richie Power drifting off his man, not being followed close enough, gets a clear shot at goal, and really Richie is the man that has dragged Kilkenny back into this game. But just going back into other things again.
Yes.
Right. Tipperary are going back. The short puck outs. They've been caught for 2 points, 2 frees from the short puck outs. Absolutely ridiculous. The one time they hit long ball into one before, if you watch that long ball coming in, you'll see JJ Delaney, you see Tommy Welch, they all racing back. But before they could get a chance to get back in, the ball had come to a 1-on-1 situation with Lar Corbett. Now what does Lar do? He drifts out around 50 yards out the field. He's getting no ball out there because Garrod Ryan and Pádraig Maher, Garrod Ryan has got a point, but they haven't won a ball between them. Tipperary are very slow. Everybody knew this was their weakness. They're very slow to make the changes in the half-forward line. They have Seamus Canlan, they have Pat Burke, they have Seamus Hennessy, they have numerous options for there. Now, unless they make fast changes, JJ Delaney has now got his confidence up. Tommy Welch is back into the game. Even Tennyson is playing very, very well. And you know the worst thing of that is, there's no one coming from the half-forward line. Sorry, Tomas, just once again. There's no one coming from the half-forward line to collect the loose ball at midfield. Kilkenny are picking up all that loose ball because Larkin is drifting out and picking up the loose ball there, and from that setting up attack.
I mean, you don't mind seeing Larry Corbett coming out, Charles.
No.
You said he's coming out, but somebody must go in. Somebody has to go in around the square. We saw PJ Delaney, PJ coming out there a few times, ball into his hand, nobody in around him, you know.
So one of the things, sir, that Tipperary did well in that first half was apply the pressure. I mean, they're really hunting for it tigerishly.
You'd have to say for the first 20 to 5 minutes they really put the pressure on Kilkenny. The tip backs were absolutely fantastic. Pádraig Maher wing back, Paul Curran full back, the car backs, they were all tearing into everything. You'll see a bit of here, like you'd imagine that Kilkenny are going to get loose here, but like who can block, and here's Kilkenny driving forward again, hand pass, he pulls there for a little kind of, there's pressure on there, so he actually, whether he throws the ball or not, well, he more or less did, and the ref pulled it for it. But like that's all applied pressure by Tipperary. They did this in great, like for the first 25 minutes. Now to do that though, you have to be very, very fit, and to keep doing it is very, very hard because like Kilkenny aren't all Ireland champions for nothing. Like, and the few minutes before half time, every principal game here this year, Michael, the few minutes before half time is vital. The few points that the team gets before half time can win or lose, and Kilkenny have got these few points to come back into the game that we're really out of.
Ironically, we thought Tennyson might be the man whose injury would come against him in his role at centre back. It was Henry that broke down.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't a collision or anything like that. I mean, it was just a straight pull up on the knee, and it's sad to see something like this, and we can see it here again. Look, it's an unfortunate thing, I suppose. I mean, everybody kind of knew, every specialist that knew, right, that's the nature of a cruciate ligament injury. You might get 60 minutes out of it, you might get 70 minutes, but you might only get 5 or 10 minutes out of it as well, you know. You can nearly see it going under him, and that's unfortunate for Henry Shefflin. And I mean, the round of applause that he got going off the field from both sides. I mean, it was just fantastic to see, and I mean,
but just going back to that pressure thing again, putting pressure on is great, and blocking down all that's great, provided you do it with discipline and you don't give away the frees. Kilkenny have only got 2 or 3 points from play. They've got the goal from play. All the rest has been from frees, and Richie has missed 2 frees, and before that Henry had missed a free. Tipperary have got to tackle with complete discipline, chase the man, close them down, but don't give away the free. The free is a certain point.
Okay, we're going to take a break here on the programme, the second half of this year's August. Let's get their thoughts on it. They're with Marty Morrissey.
Thank you very much, Michael. Indeed, before the game, Paul Flynn was going for Kilkenny, Declan was going for Tipperary. I wonder if their thoughts changed. Have you been impressed with Kilkenny?
Well, in fairness, Marty, they've come back strong. You know, Tipperary hit them with everything there in the first quarter of an hour, and Lara Corbett got a great goal. But Kilkenny have settled down now a bit. Michael Rice has come in there centre forward, and they're winning all the breaks, I feel, in around the full forward or the full back line. Tipperary are breaking the ball out, and the Kilkenny forwards are making the most of it. And I think Tipperary will have to stop fouling or be more disciplined in the second half.
In terms of Tipperary, Declan, Lara Corbett seems to be a real threat, but I get the feeling they're not feeding the ball often enough to him.
No, they're doing an awful lot of short passing around the middle third, and again, for the conditions, it's not really conducive to doing that today. I think they need to get more direct ball. They're losing ball in contact, and as Paul said, they're doing an awful lot of fouling. So I think, especially when it's starting to rain even heavier there now, they're going to have to just do a lot more direct hurling, because they have a very, very dangerous full forward line, as we saw when they get the ball in there. So that's their aim for the second half. The
talk down here is that you would feel that Tipperary might be trying to avoid Tommy Walsh, because there's nothing going down that wing.
Well, I'm sure obviously he's in line for Hurler of the Year, and he has been for many years. So yeah, definitely they're trying to keep it away from him. But I mean, you know, they've a lot of movement in there. So let's just pump the ball into the full forward line, especially, not just down on top of the half back line, but there's some of the short poke outs as well, a couple of turnovers. That'll rise Kilkenny. So you just want to keep it simple, especially on the day like this. Get direct ball into the full forward line.
Second half, are you still sticking with Kilkenny to win this All-Ireland?
I think it's going to be very tight, Marty. I think Tipperary will actually enjoy playing into the wind. The ball will hold up more for their more classier forwards. They can use a bit of speed, so I wouldn't be surprised if Tipperary threaten a goal more in the second half. But I think experience could well carry the day for Kilkenny.
In a word, Declan, Tipperary?
I'll still stick with Tip.
Good man. You never know, this could well be a draw. Let's go back to Michael.
All right, well, Marty, Paul and Declan are three of the 81,765 here at Croke Park, and the rain, or the drizzle I suppose you'd have to call it, is getting heavier. You might not really realise it on our cameras, but oh, very nice. That's Kilkenny and Tip, I think, sharing a moment with the looks of it. And it's really, as I said, a very, very soupy drizzle at this stage, and has to be slippy down that pitch now.
No doubt about that, you know. But look, it's going to be the same for both teams, Michael. And the one guy that has impressed me in that first half in that Kilkenny line has been Owen Larkin, right? And I think he's the man that's taken up the mantle a little bit now that Shefflin has gone, and he's the guy that is breaking the gate line. He's breaking the tackle, and he's getting inside. And I know you're saying about the discipline and the freeze and stuff like that, right? But what Tipperary can't afford to do is when he gets inside that line and they're committing somebody like the Richie Power goal, there's a hand pass gone inside and there's a sign in the back of the net, you know. So I mean, I know they fouled maybe stupidly at times and stuff like that as well, but it's better than actually letting the goal scoring chances inside, because they did create goal scoring chances.
And Eddie Brennan had a goal chance.
He had a great goal chance, yeah, and again set up by Larkin once more, you know, because Larkin's work rate coming out around the middle of the field, great ball in here. Now, when the ball breaks here, you know, three Tipperary players had a chance to win it, but look at the upper body strength of Larkin, and sets the ball out. Eddie always crosses over to that corner. Now, I suppose Eddie, 9 times out of 10, he'd put that ball in net. He took the fast option of not rising and just having a go at it. Ball like that, very, very difficult, especially on a wet surface, very, very difficult to score. But don't they look really dangerous when they attack down the centre? When Larkin is coming through the centre, if Michael Rice started coming through the centre, that is where they really look dangerous. And you see Noel McGrath in the first, he had a ball like that, went straight through. He had options left and right, and what do you do? Kick it, and kicked it wide. You know, they're able to pick out the man. The big strength of Kilkenny, when they're under pressure, men all around them, they still have to come